As I get older and start thinking more about having a child and becoming a dad, I think about my own dad and my own childhood, and I wonder what kind of a dad I'll be. But I realize that if I'm even a percentage of the dad that I have, that's a good place to start. I recorded a few simple yet profound stories and memories from my childhood that talk about the kind of dad that I've been blessed with. Here they are. There was this one time, me and my sister were in class, and during lunch, my sister had a retainer at the time, so she took her retainer out when she was eating and folded it up into a napkin. Now, she, by accident, threw away the retainer when she threw away her food at the cafeteria. And at the time, we didn't have a lot of money growing up. We always had enough. My dad always provided and worked really hard, but we, didn't have tons of money where we could just throw away a very expensive retainer. So when this happened, what did my dad do? He said, I'm gonna go through that dumpster after school, after he got home from working a long day at work, working hard, drove an hour home. He's gonna go through that dumpster right here, actually, and find the retainer. And that's just the kind of guy my dad was. He was always willing to do anything he needed to do to provide for his family. I can't imagine a worse thing, as a child. I was like, oh my gosh, he's gonna go through this dumpster and, it's full of trash and food from that day and flies and probably smelled disgusting, and I can't believe I even just touched it right there. But he went through that dumpster, and it didn't matter if he found the retainer or not. Just his willingness to do that meant so much to the family. Digging through the trash, pulling out trash bags, ripping them open, looking for a retainer in a napkin. And the amazing thing is, he found the retainer. And I was just so amazed with, his willingness to do that, to provide, but then just the fact that he actually found the retainer was just so cool. And that's just one story I remember growing up. So another story I want to share about my dad is growing up from a really young age here in Connecticut, I got interested in sports. Like at 7 years old, I started, wanting to play Little League and soccer and basketball, and that was a huge part of my life. Like probably my biggest passion my whole childhood was sports. And I didn't realize it at the time, but my dad wasn't really interested in sports, but I thought he was, because he was really not just encouraging. He didn't just go to my games. He ended up coaching practically every team I was ever on growing up. When I joined Little League, he coached that. When I did soccer, he coached all those teams. Basketball, he was the coach of all those teams. So looking back, I have all these great memories of those sports, the thing I was most passionate about, and my dad being involved. And again, that's the kind of guy he was. He would use all that free time that he would have had, and he would go to the practices. He would do the games for year after year after year. And it's even more impactful when I look back and realize he wasn't like hugely into sports. That wasn't his passion, but his passion was being involved in my life and being involved in his kids' lives. And it's just so great to be able to share those memories and just have those memories for the rest of my life. So I have this one last little story about my dad. It happened right here on the street we were living on, Theodore Street. And me and my dad and my sister were going for a nice Sunday evening bike ride in the summer. And by about the time my sister got to this point on the road, the steepest point, she realized her brakes on her bike didn't work for some reason. My dad was so quick. When he realized in that split second that her brakes weren't working and she couldn't stop, he immediately actually crashed his bike right into hers. And I was next to him and I didn't realize what was happening at the moment. Like, why would my dad crash his bike into her bike? Because she got kind of hurt. Her teeth ended up getting all chipped up and her mouth was hurt. Like, it was really bad in the moment. But he realized if she couldn't stop, she was about to head right into this road, which is actually a really busy intersection, and something much, much worse would have happened to her. So again, it's just one of these little stories I remember from growing up, but he was that quick, and he was willing to hurt her a little bit in that moment because he realized that something much, much worse could have happened to her. So it's just, again, a little tiny story from my childhood that I remember, just one of those moments where my dad just did whatever it took to provide for his family, to protect his family, and that's just one of those things I remember about my dad.